Hey everybody, Jonathan Bailor back with another SANE show. Very excited about today because we have a great friend of the show and a great personal friend who's here with some really exciting and unique news. Dr. Pedram Shojai, welcome back to the show, brother.
Hey, good to see you. Great to be here.
Well, Pedram, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And I got to say, this is the first show we've ever had to celebrate and to talk about the freaking launch of a feature-length film. That's crazy, man. So what you're a let's back up here. So you're doctor, you're into wellness, you're releasing movies. Are you like Steven Spielberg MD here? What's going on?
I think he's had a little bit more experience in making movies. This is my second one, but man, are they getting more and more fun to do. I mean, I spent 6 weeks tracking lions in Africa as just a small part of what we filmed in this movie. It was 4 years in the making. So yeah, I mean, selfishly, it's kind of fun, kind of dangerous, kind of awesome.
Well, so how did you back up here? How are you a doctor and a filmmaker? I mean, you have about as confusing as a background as I do. So how did this all happen?
Totally. I just stopped printing business cards because it's hard to say what I am that day. So, my first movie, Vitality, I made because I was so sick of, I ran kind of a large medical group and I was getting really frustrated that I only got paid when people were sick. And there was no money in keeping people well, and the whole model was upside down. So I decided, you know what, I'm taking this to the people and teaching them how to not need me. Right. And we went out there and we did it. We threw that gauntlet. Vitality did extremely well. And then all of a sudden I was a filmmaker. And so, following that arc, it was, saying, okay, well, what do you need to know to figure out how we got into this mess and what our next kind of logical steps would be? And so we went to the first caves that our ancestors stumbled out of in Africa after the last ice age. Said, what did food look like? What did stress look like? What did the environment look like, and how did we grow to master technology, really with the proverbial use of fire? And now, where's that technology gotten us, and at what point have we overdone it, and what can we do to find balance between nature and technology? Because let's face it, I like my iPhone. I'm standing not in the same room as you recording this, and so tech is pretty cool, but how much of it is damaging our health? How much of it is choking out our planet? And how do we, basically walk hand in hand with tech in a way that doesn't kill us, right? It's like, we got really good at understanding science because of our drive towards survival. And then we got so good we forgot about survival, and now survival is kind of full circle, right? Where infertility is up, we're all getting sick, things are getting really kind of creepy and nasty because there's these companies that poison us, and we are all suffering from things that are really unnecessary. And so we throw a gauntlet. I mean, we do it in this movie, and we go after what it is that's making people sick and what it is that we should probably just never buy again.
There's a unfortunate irony with the term technology, because if you look way back, technology has become a definition for things like computers and cell phones, but technology at its core is really just a better way of doing things, right? The printing press, that was technology, using a butter churn to create butter back in the day versus however they used before they had a butter churn. That was technology. So really, technology just means a more efficient and effective way of doing things. And there's an unfortunate irony when the more efficient and effective way of doing things seemingly kills, like it's not actually taking us forward. In some ways, it's taking us forward in maybe some superficial dimensions. Like now we can watch a monkey abuse a frog on our phone anywhere at any time, but we die of heart disease instead of dying of natural causes. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, look, the original technology was fire. I mean, we started doing flints. We started, being able to create tools to chisel with, and things that really helped us not have to, work so hard to get through the day. And so that's pretty cool, right? But once you start getting a little further and getting into technologies nowadays that factor out externalities, and this is a big thing in economics, right? There's the cost of delivering coal to the American household, if you will, which is, hey, we're gonna get this stuff out of the ground, we're gonna burn it, we're gonna make electricity, they're gonna be able to sit on their iPads and look at Facebook, and perfect. And then part of that cost is, the transportation, the mining, and all that stuff. But they don't factor in the cost of the air pollution or the mercury removal or the sickness that it's causing throughout the planet. And so we're like, well, we get cheap energy, but if you factor in these externalities, which are part of the equation, all of a sudden it's not that cheap at all, right? It sucks. It's making us sick, it's poisoning the planet, it's killing the fish, and it's choking out life itself. But we're like, well, it's cheap energy. And so these types of games that industries have played to kind of dupe us into thinking that it's all okay. That's what we're going after, is like, guys, I got a 6-month-old kid, right? I'm doing this for him. And so it's just not fair to look at technology with externalities factored out, because let's face it, anything we do here is going to reflect around the planet. Like we say, oh, it's so smoggy. There's a famous line in the movie where it's like, there's India and China are having so many smog issues, and thank God it's over there. But NASA's been tracking this brown cloud where, every week or so, all of this nasty coal-fired cancerous gunk rises up, comes over and dumps on the western seaboard of the United States, pretty close to where you're sitting right now. You know what I'm saying? And so we're getting exponential rise in mercury in our lakes. The air quality's all getting tweaked, and we're like, oh, well, that's China. It's not. It's dumping, it's raining right down on the western seaboard of the US and then crossing over North America and polluting everything, but we don't think about it because it's over there. That's nonsense.
That externality point is so critical, Pedram, because it permeates everything. Let's do one other example that hits near and dear to me, and I know here hits near and dear to you, and that is expanding on the food we eat. We talk about the cost of food. And when we think of the cost of food, we've got to think of externalities, right? So let's look at the data first of all. First and foremost, if you look a couple generations ago, the average American spent about 20% of their income on food. Today, we spend less than 10% of our income on food. So objectively, we are spending way less on food. But when you look at the cost, so the cost of cheap food, holy moly. I mean, the petroleum needed to create all these packages and the waste that's being created. Tell me a little bit about the industrial food complex and the externalities and the real cost of that on our culture.
Yeah, that's the big one, man. And, these guys have proven time and time again that they don't care. And if you raise a fuss, they're just going to hire lobbyists and smear campaigns and shut you up, because they're making a bunch of money at the cost of our children. So you look at this $1 trillion health industry, and 90% of the money we're spending is basically due to chronic illnesses. And so you look at all these things. I mean, calorie myth, right? You look at all these things, you're like, why are people not losing weight? And why are people still getting sick? And why are, despite the fact that, everyone's got gym memberships and is trying to do the right thing and count calories, it's not working. You got to look at all this other stuff. And it's like, holy crap, why is this in my food? We were just, Abel and Alison were just here a little while ago, and my wife had bought like some cheesecake from Costco, and I wasn't even paying attention. She's like, oh, it's for some party at work. And Abel's reading the ingredients. He's like, propylene glycol. Yeah, if you had a bottle of propylene glycol on the table, would you just drink it, right? But it's okay somehow because it's in the cheesecake, and some moron decided it was a good idea. And so we're eating propylene glycol or whatever else we're eating that is not necessarily a food ingredient that the body would recognize as food. So the body has this antibody reaction and freaks out, going, hey, what the hell is this? And so we're like, well, I don't understand why my body's tripping out, why I'm tired. I should probably drink some more coffee. And so the whole thing is just this complete sinkhole of a joke. Food comes from the earth, and if you eat food that comes from the earth, chances are you will feel better, and chances are it will happen relatively quickly. And so, I mean, we got Mark Hyman, Mark Sisson, Abel James, Sarah Godfrey, JJ Virgin. I mean, we got a lot of really heavy-hitting health and wellness people telling it like it is in this movie. But it's not just about health. It's really about where our health and the planet's health come together. And what it really boils down to is our purchasing decisions every day. Here in the United States, we vote for a new president every 4 years. You vote for the companies that stay in power 10 to 15 times a day every time you swipe your credit card at the store. So who are you giving your money to, and are they practicing the right things, or are they factoring out your health and your children's health and the planet's health because of these externalities, right? And so, it's like, oh, well, I need to, save money, and be able to afford my cable TV, or these containers full of garbage that's coming over from China that my children think they need, instead of eating better and feeling better and not going to the hospital and getting sick, and not having purpose in life because your body's not functioning, so your brain can't function. So we're really kind of hitting a reset. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not saying, go throw on your loincloth and grab your spear and let's run out the door. But I'm saying there's some real powerful wisdom that we gathered from those days that can march us into a better way of living with nature in the future. And so we're really into green tech, we're really into solar, we're really into all of these other things that are making the world a better place, and are using our innovation and technology and all the things that are important to make sure that we can enjoy this planet for generations to come, instead of choke it out because someone wants to make money.
Pedram, I love your point about voting with our dollars. And do you cover in this film, I think we intuitively, we all want to be healthier. We want to be healthier. We want to feel good, but sometimes we have conflicting wants and desires. So we want cheap food. And we want, when I say cheap, I mean cheap. I don't mean good value. I mean cheap food. I mean, I want to order a piece of beef and for it to cost 99 cents. Like, you got to kind of wonder, a piece of beef costing 99 cents, maybe you don't want a 99-cent piece of beef because what's in it. So what do we do so we've got a lot of these wants. How do we prioritize those wants, and how do we get the motivation and the tools we need to prioritize the wants that really enable us against the wants that maybe marketing or messaging has made us think we believe, but we don't actually need?
Yeah, great question. Marketing is predicated on the leveraging of people's desires on their weaknesses, right? So I would say anything that doesn't serve you, that's poisoning you, that's poisoning the planet, just take it out. Right? Start there. Don't poison yourself. It's probably a bad idea. And then when we start looking at what's actually moving the needle, I mean, look, organic was just kind of like a cute thing 15 years ago, and it was just like hippies and co-ops, and it was this thing that was just kind of blossoming that no one could afford. As more and more people decided that it was important to them, important for their families, and started buying organic, look what's happened. The prices have dropped considerably. And so we're creating a new economy based on our desires as the consumer, right? And so as you put your money where your mouth is, as you put your money where your desire is, and you start shifting more and more towards organic, shifting more and more towards fair trade, shifting towards the things that you value. If you spend your money in alignment with your values, then what happens is the economy of scale changes things, and those things become cheaper, they become more affordable. And there's a lot of these things happening right now. I mean, Annie's was just bought by General Mills for like $800 million. And so the question is General Mills going to greenwash them and take out, all the principles? They're like, oh, great, we bought this organic company, and now let's just go ahead and put propylene glycol back in. Or are they going to follow and say, okay, we get it. You guys want organic, we're going to stay clean, and this is just a profitable business. And if they do play it correctly, I'm happy to be a customer of General Mills. But if they blow it, like Tom's toothpaste got bought by some big conglomerate, and the main ingredient, I think lauryl sulfate, that Tom himself said I would never put in my toothpaste because it's poison. As soon as he sold the company, these guys put it right back in, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, don't buy Tom's, right? Like, don't let them do that. And so for us, that's the important thing, is to understand that they assume you're dumb. And if you wake up and start spending your money wisely, the gig is up, and we just collectively don't let them poison us, because we're just not going to buy it. Like, fine, you're going to put poison in there? I'm not buying it, so who is?
And that's so empowering, Pedram, because at the end of the day, you're right. Even I'm a little guilty of thinking that these food executives are these schemer, Mr. Burns type Simpsons. All they want to do is what their job is, which is to make money. If the product they sell isn't bought by anybody, they will sell something different. So at the end of the day, the power lies in our hands. And it lies in our hands to change the minds and hearts of those around us too, because, we're just one person, but all great change came from one person and then permeated to others. So, and I know a lot of change is coming from you because you're creating these movies, you're creating a bunch of great stuff, you're creating a bunch of ripples in this movement. So where can we learn more about this movie specifically and everything else around it so that we can get involved?
Thanks for asking. Well.org/origins. And we're going to have all the information there. We got a trailer there. I'm going to give you a link to share with your audience as well. But well.org/origins is where it's going to be housed. We're doing a very untraditional launch of this movie. I spent 4 years and a lot of money making this movie. Okay. And guess what I'm doing? I'm doing a 10-day free screening of the movie that I just spent 4 years making to anyone who wants to see it, because it's that important to share the message. Mm-hmm. And then what we're doing is then we're going to have a bunch of experts from the movie in a free summit afterwards that will kind of expound on that. And we're putting together success kits and everything just to help people understand how to take the next steps. And then what's a really important piece of this is it's going to come out right before Thanksgiving, and then we're taking back Black Friday and doing a Green Friday initiative where we're putting companies that are doing the right thing in front of people and saying, why do you spend your hard-earned money on garbage, poison, plastic junk that comes over in containers from China in the name of baby Jesus for the holidays? Do the right thing this holiday season and buy products that do the right thing, support the people in your life with health, wellness, and green and things that will help enhance their life instead of getting them trinkets that mean nothing and poison the planet. And so we're really just knocking on people's foreheads a little bit saying, hey, come on, wake up. This is all of us. This is about what we can all do. And that little $20 purchase you were going to make for Betsy down at the office could be something that helps Betsy and helps the planet and immediately pulls you out of that downward spiral and puts you into the virtuous one that makes you a part of the solution and not the problem.
I love it. Well, give us that URL one more time, Pedram.
Well.org/origins.
Well, this is beautiful, Pedram. I personally have had a chance to take an early look at the film, and it is very inspirational. I think it can hit both viewers' heads and hearts, which is really, really important. So I would encourage everyone who's watching and listening this to check out well.org/origins. And Pedram, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, man. And I so salute what you're doing. You're changing lives and you are changing the world. And I know you've put your heart and your wallet behind this, so I appreciate it very much.
Thanks very much. It's a lot of work. We have a 6-month-old baby. It took 9 months to kind of incubate and bring him out. It took 4 years to bring this baby out. And so, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but it's only worth doing if it's worth doing right. So I'm very proud of this movie. It's beautiful, and it will change people's lives. So I really encourage people to jump on and see it while we're offering it in a free screening.
I love it, Pedram. Well, thank you as always. It's always a pleasure, brother.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, man.
Well, viewers and listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat as much as I did. Again, today's guest, friend of the show, personal friend, Dr. Pedram Shojai, movie producer and doctor extraordinaire. Be sure to check out the free screening, which is just crazy, at well.org/origins. And I'll also include a link with some bonuses in the email newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And remember, this week and every week after, stay sane. Chat with you soon.